Do it, man.
Alright, let me just get cool. So what I wanted to find out from you is, since Superman is, he's super powered by our yellow sun, and Krypton has a red one. So I was wondering in the show if there was going to be any kind of a superhuman element to that, since we're kind of shifting the setting a little bit. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. There will be, but it won't be, coming from like Segel, the star of our show, our main character. But there will be characters with powers in the show. But it's not because of the yellow sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
What would you say is the tone of the show? How would you describe
the tone? It's a grounded world, even though it's on a it's a very it's a sci-fi, very much a sci-fi show. But it's a world that is in the middle of a kind of a really. The political climate there is Krypton's kind of tearing itself apart. It's become divided in classes. There's the underclass known as the rankless, and then there's the upper class who are the house of the house of Zod and the house of El, and they kind of live up in these kind of towers, and the rankless live below. So that sort of political and there's a tension there that's really palpable.
It's interesting. There's a difference in class then, almost. So you're telling almost a difference in. Is that kind of what the story is a little bit, like one class against each other?
That's kind of the background. That's the world that we're in, and it's a big part of the storytelling. Yeah, and I think that Seg starts out as a member of that upper class, and then he's cast down into the rankless, and so he's really disconnected from the House of El and the everything that kind of stands for. So part of the journey of the show is him learning what that means, what it is to be an El, and the responsibility that sort of is associated with that, and the power of that kind of that symbol. And he's a much more kind of rough and tumble sort of. He's from the streets. He's not a hero, and he's very quickly thrust into a situation where he needs to become that. But that's really the journey of the series, is him growing. It's a hero's journey, and he has to sort of take all those steps that we sort of know in a hero's journey.
Will there be any familiar villains?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is there any way you could maybe toss a couple out there for us? Or?
Well, look, without getting into the specifics of the villains, what I'll say is as a way to kind of get into the show, and I think one of the challenges I think a lot of prequels face is, the sense that, well, we know how this story ends. Krypton is going to blow up, and that's the end. So why do I invest in that? Well, what we're doing with our show, and it speaks to the villains, is that there's a conspiracy where some villains from present day Earth, 2017, have travelled back in time to Krypton of 200 years ago to try and prevent Superman's birth. So very quickly the show becomes, it's no longer about the events of the past, it's about, the stakes are about the here and now, about the greatest hero on Earth in the universe, and will he be born? And so it very very early on it becomes a show where anything can happen now. And at the forefront of all of that are the villains who are kind of behind this conspiracy, and I think for obvious reasons I can't go into any more detail in the specifics of who they are, but it's a very cool way to get into the show, and it just kind of, I think, upends people's expectations of what the series is going to be.
So you almost have two different stories going on there. You have that present day aspect, but you also have this path of redemption type aspect from the House of El. How long, for the redemption type story, how long do you kind of feel like you want to let that breathe before you sort of hit that climactic moment? Do you want to let that breathe a little bit, or do you want to let that kind of stretch out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that's the challenge of the show, is knowing how far to play any of those things, and I think it's we have a pretty well thought out plan for how that should play, and I think I think we want to, we've got that great buy-in, but ultimately we want people to invest in the characters of the show. So it's the character story, it's their personal, emotional, character-driven stories that I think is what people will end up coming back for. So as much as we all love the big swings and the big, wild, crazy plot moments, they only work when we care about the characters, and so. So it's about really expanding those characters and building, because a lot of the audience are going to be unfamiliar with a lot of these characters, so really growing them is an important part.
Right. Very cool.
All right.
All right.
On to the next.
Okay.